Hello everyone, welcome back to another Transformers haul vid. I've been to some more boot fairs again this last weekend, and I've just got a couple of little bits. I'll quickly go through what I managed to find. First of all, in a Legends class from the Universe Classics 2.0 line, excuse me, I found Onslaught, which is the Decepticon version of the Red Alert, I believe, from the Universe line. So not a bad little bot, and different colour mould from the Red Alert one I found. Next, now what to show you. Next I found a couple of the Universe Classics, the deluxe sort of figures, but it's a couple of special edition ones. Now both were damaged and had bits missing. First of all was a Prime, but as you can see he's missing his arm. But what he did have, and I'll show you now, is he did have his weapon and his smokestack, so I managed to repair the other one I've got. But one thing I did notice in sort of changing the parts over is they are a different paint application sort of mould, and also the colour red, although it's not showing it greatly there, is a different colour red as well, and the blues are a different colour as well. But as you can see, like on the paint on the legs there, the paint applications and even like Autobot symbols on the arms, I have to turn the one so he's got his arm there, so if you look at the side there's Autobot logo on the lighter red one but not on this one, and also the lights are painted on where his hands are. So I'm thinking perhaps that's some kind of special edition version of the normal one. Now in the same sort of box where I picked that one up, I actually got also a special edition version of Megatron from the same line. Again, it's the Universe Classics in the deluxe size, but I mean he's missing part of his arm, which is also his weapon, but also a little bit of colour damage from the sunlight, sort of the old sun fading. So I might have to give him a bit of a go, but to get that back to the original nice white colour. But again, he's a special edition version because the original one is white and green normally, modelled on the G2 Megatron. So another unusual little one to pick up, and if I find the parts I can always sort him out. It would be quite nice to get that one complete. Another one what's missing a few bits, and again I'll try and hunt down parts when I'm going around the boot fairs, you never know, I might find another one. And that is from the, I'm trying to think which film it would have been. It might have been from The Dark of the Moon, but I'm thinking it's probably from either Return of the Revenge of the Fallen, what am I saying? Revenge of the Fallen, or from the first movie, but it's the Skywarp version of the Starscream mould with the rotating missile launcher, if I can find the right thing there, where you run the wheels along and the launcher turns. He's missing his rear tail fins, obviously the missiles, and his nose cone, which is the biggest sort of bugbear really. But as I say, I might well find the parts, I might well find him again with some different bits missing and be able to fix him up, or even do a custom with him at some point. So I might turn him into one of the other Rainmakers if I find a complete Skywarp. Another one what's missing some parts, but again I'll keep my eye out to see if I can find it, is, if I can find where I wrote it down, his name is the Silver Streak from the Universe Classics line from 2008. He's missing his sort of front wings, his head and the doors, but other than that, and one arm, but other than that, what's left of him ain't in bad nick, and it can either be, it might be useful for a custom, or again I might find another one what's in sort of bad condition but in sort of, say the legs are missing or something like that. I might be able to fix him up. So I got him, I mean it's 20p, so I mean what does it matter. So was the Skywarp. Next one I got was from the crossover line, and it's the Iron Man, I'm trying to think what they call it, War Machine. version of Iron Man, and it turns into a jet. Not a bad figure generally. He's missing a couple of other red missiles that fire out the sides. I think there's a couple of short ones and a couple of longer ones, but other than that, I mean, as a figure as such and in his jet mode, it don't really matter, and not a bad figure generally. Quite a good face sculpt of the Iron Man sort of mould. So yeah, that was quite a nice little find. Again, that weren't much. I think it was. It's hard to remember because of where I was picking up other bits, but I mean, most of this stuff, I think, with a few other odds and ends, what I picked up as spare parts, it all came to about £5. So I mean, you know, most of these were next to nothing to buy. Another one which I didn't know offhand, I did have an inkling which figure it was, and he's missing his planet key and his weapon, but I got the Cybertron, I think it's Cybertron, let's see, yeah, from the Cybertron Deluxe line 2005, it's Snarl. Now I do quite like it because he's got, when you use the planet key in the back of his neck, he's got a little opening and closing mouth with almost like saber-tooth teeth inside, which is quite a nice little thing. In robot mode, other than the fact his weapon's missing, he's more or less complete, so he looks right. He just needs a clean up. The next ones are nearly complete. One needs some work, but the other one is fine. Now the first one, which is fine and complete, is also a little bit of a, I think, a more unusual one to find, and it's from the Universe Classics line again. It's a recolour of the Mirage mould, and it's drag strip, and he was from 2008. I sort of did the research on him, and he's all complete. There's nothing wrong with him whatsoever. And again, picked him up. I think he was one of the dearer ones. He was about £1, but what a great figure, you know, really nice. It would be nice to get the Mirage one as well. So he's in his normal blue and white colour, but yeah, really good little figure, and you can definitely see it's the Mirage sort of mould they've reused because the head is exactly the same. But yeah, really good little, well, little sort of deluxe size figure. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with that one. That was a really good find. And the one what needs a little bit of work done, but I'm chuffed to bits to find it, and he was in the same sort of box as well as most of these bits were. He's missing a missile, and he does need a little bit of colour, sort of sun fading, sort of like repair work done to him, which I'm surprised at due to how sort of new they are. And again, this is from the 2008 Classics line, and I actually managed to find an Overkill, which is obviously the recolour of the Grimlock mould, and other than his missile, it's completely complete, undamaged, fine. But as I said, the guy who owned this must have had this in a window, because you can see the yellowing where the sun's affected the plastic of the sort of light grey, sort of white colour plastic. Now it's more pronounced on the tail. On this side it's fine, and compare it to that side where it's yellowed. It's not actually shown up on camera as bad actually, but it is quite yellowed, and it shows up as well. So, I mean, it does show up, the contrast better on the chest probably. But yeah, so that's something I'm going to have to take him apart and see if I can lighten the plastic up and repair him. But great mould, great figure. Luckily the blue hasn't been too much affected by the sun fading or sun discoloration. Has a little bit, it's gone slightly greenish, but it doesn't look too obvious with the rest of the colours, and it doesn't stand out as being different from the rest of the figure. But yeah, I will have to do something about the light coloured parts, because it's just a shame. It just looks like, you know, if the guy was a heavy smoker but he only breathed on one side of the tail. Actually, if I do something, if I turn the tail there, so you can see the colour difference instantly there on the areas where it's not been exposed to the light, and it's more pronounced now, so that's probably a better way of showing you it. So yeah, that's one little job I'm going to have to get on with at some point. I will perhaps show that again in another vid, so you can see a bit of difference there with the colour change on that, as long as my chemicals are still okay, because after a while I don't know if they lose their potency a little bit. But yeah, really good mould, and again I think it's pounds, because I was getting them all together in as a sort of lot. I had to sort of tot it up together, but if you said a £5 for all of them, you know, and like I say, I've got some other sort of spare parts, nothing really major or that interesting, but little bits where if I come across the box, having the parts is quite handy. One of the main ones, if I quickly just root through the bag, one of the main ones which was a handy sort of bit to get if I come across Megatron, is his tank barrel and his sort of weapon. Obviously the missile launcher's empty, missile would have been in the middle there, but it's not bad, you know, it's in good nick. Obviously is the main arm attachment, but it's the sort of thing what's missing on a figure, and if I find the figure, obviously if he's got an arm missing, well, that's going to make the figure even cheaper, and of course I can just slap that bit straight back on, because as with most of these figures, the parts, they might come off easy, but they go back on as easy. But I don't think most of the owners know that, and they just think, oh, it's bust, so they sell it for next to nothing. Several of them I had to put them back together. Drag strip, I think one of his arms was off. Trying to remember now. I think the Optimus Prime had other limbs, sort of like, I think his other arm was missing and off, even though one is still missing. But yeah, it's easy enough to pop them back together. As I suppose most of you would know, if you're more hardened fans, you know they're on ball joints, they just clip back in. But it's only a small haul this week, but not bad. And like I say, I'm chuffed to bits with the Overkill and the drag strip mould. Really do like those. And the other parts are all sort of good. And I was quite chuffed to find the weapon and the pipes to finish off that little Prime as well. So that's all really for this week. Hope you've enjoyed the vid. I would like to just do a little shout out to somebody that's does some interesting videos, and if you're watching mine, he's well worth a check over. It doesn't just do Transformers, he does a lot of other action figures and bases and old toys, and that's Action Jackman. His name's Luke, his real name. You'll probably find a comment from him on one of my reviews, easy enough to easily link you to his YouTube site. Well worth a look, and really he doesn't have a great deal of subscribers. Now, I mean, I'm not one of the guys with the hugest sort of like fan base of people watching my vids, but he deserves more views than he gets, so I wanted to do a little shout out, because he always makes the effort to watch my stuff, and I always make the effort to watch his, and I just feel he's not getting sort of some of the recognition he deserves. But yeah, that's about all really for this week, and thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe if this is the first time you've come across my site, and feel free to comment or ask any questions, and I shall see you again for probably a Transformers review, or if I don't get a chance in the coming week when I'm at work, I shall sort of like put up another haul vid if I'm lucky enough to get some boot fairs next week. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.